Welcome to Season 2 of Build and Grow, a series dedicated to helping businesses go beyond financial management to achieve financial growth, resilience, and innovation. As businesses continue to revive and pivot to new models in these times, your story is proud to partner with HSBC for another season of inspiring conversations, insights, and observations from some of the newest trendsetters in business and stalwarts of the ecosystem. Tune in to power your next phase of growth and business continuity.
Welcome to Season 2 of Build and Grow Money Matters, a series dedicated to helping businesses go beyond financial management to achieve financial growth, resilience, and innovation. As businesses continue to revive and pivot to newer models in these times, your story is proud to partner with HSBC for another season of inspiring conversations, insights, and observations from some of the newest trendsetters in business and stalwarts of the ecosystem. These stalwarts have powered their business to the next phase of growth and they've ensured business continuity. And talking about that today, we have with us Shantanu Deshpande, founder and CEO of Bombay Shaving Company. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, Shantanu. Okay, a little introduction about the Bombay Shaving Company. It's a consumer goods company that focuses on developing a range of shave care, beard care, and skincare products, even women care products. Okay, not to miss the women here. Shantanu is an IIM Lucknow alumnus, and after 4 years at McKinsey and Company, he ventured into the world of entrepreneurship with the Bombay Shaving Company. He is passionate about building an organization that solves for real needs and disrupts a traditional industry through technology. Thanks for taking the time, Shantanu. How are things back there? And what's been happening with PSC for the last 1 year? Every one of us has struggled. Every one of us has become resilient. Let me know what's been going on for the last 8 months, and then we could go on into the real conversation.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot for having me. First of all, thank you, and it's always a privilege to talk to people like yourself. COVID has been difficult for the world in general. India specifically, businesses have gone through ups and downs. People have gone through what many people characterize as grief, right? Because the unpredictability of future creates these kind of issues. Fortunately, a silver lining for our business has been that it has actually created tailwinds for us for two reasons. Reason number one is personal care as a category, especially the category subcategories we are in, did not see consumption drops. People are on Zoom calls, so they do want to take care of their face. They want to shave. Like, look at you and me, right? We have kind of groomed our beards and so on and come on.
Agreed.
We probably have not bought clothes or shoes or gone to restaurants, but we have not compromised on our consumption of shaving creams and razors and trimmers and so on. So we did not see consumption hits at all. Second thing is, a lot of consumers, because they didn't want to go to stores, came online. And for a small, agile, digitally savvy company like us, competing with large brands online is far easier than competing with them in 2 million retail outlets. So because of these two things, right? One is I did not see consumption drops happen for the category we operate in, and it's easier for me to operate in the channels that now are becoming more prevalent. We actually grew, and we have grown. Now we are at 3.5 times what we were pre-COVID. That is a thankful thing. At a team level, I think work from home had its own challenges. Our average age is 25, so a lot of us derive energy from just being together, looking at packaging in person, looking at campaign ideas on a screen. So that energy we had to create outside of in-person interaction. So that was a challenge. We did have a few family members of people in our company going through COVID. We had a couple of deaths. So tough. It was a very tough time for everyone. But I think we have shown resilience. People have kind of come back. The company offers an option for people to come back and kind of forget about these things just because of the culture we have. So yeah.
No, that's that's a very heartfelt introduction that you give me, and my condolences to the losses. Also, getting into the business part of it, right? I'm glad that you said that people did not give up personal grooming during the pandemic. Yeah. It became very important to keep themselves hygienic and healthy. And I think that's been a habit change in our country simply because of the pandemic, right? And your products, Bombay Shaving's products, there's a portfolio of over 100 products across shaving, bath, body, skin, beard care, right? How did that journey begin? I mean, how did you start? Does it start with one or two products and then becomes 100? And that is a fruitful journey itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the thesis of the journey is in our first set of ideas. And the ideas were actually quite simple. The ideas were that for thousands of years, we have had gender disparity in the world, right? Women have felt the social need to look good because that seemed to be the only way to have a great life. They were financially dependent, did not get educated beyond a point, and who they married defined how they lived. So women took on a significant uh, pressure for looking good. And if you see even today, like they are far more evolved in their consumer consumption patterns. The sophistication of women's beauty and personal care market compared to men is much higher. Thankfully, that balance is kind of reshifting. So men are kind of now feeling the pressure over the last 2 or 3 decades. It's a very recent phenomenon. And the reason is because of this balance shifting. Women are getting more educated, women are getting more financially independent, they're dating a lot more, they're marrying a lot later in life. So suddenly men are under pressure, right, to look good. There is a matrimonial competitiveness that has come around. It's not easy to date. Like imagine 20 years back going to a wedding, you would always see guys marrying women way out of their league. That doesn't happen that easily anymore just because you have a job, right? And men don't talk to each other about these things. Like for example, it's very unlikely that I will come and tell you, hey, your beard looks great. What do you use? While two girlfriends will always talk about, hey, I love your hair. Can you tell me the shampoo? So men are looking to the internet, looking to brands, looking to influencers, looking for information, but not discussing it internally. And that gives great opportunity for brands to create content, educate, and get consumers on a trajectory which they will enjoy because they will start looking better and feeling good about themselves. So we started with that thesis that we have to make men look good because they're looking for that those solutions. The way we approached it was, look, men's personal care or men's grooming, as they call it, has largely shaving and non-shaving as two large subcategories. And within shaving, there is hardware, which is razors and blades and all that, and shaving software, which is foams and aftershaves and all that. And then non-shaving is largely deodorants, fragrances, face washes. If you look at any subcategory other than shaving hardware, there are many companies in it. And being a Me Too product in those categories became difficult for a young company like us, who was not, hyper funded. The best way to create the brand was to actually enter a tough category where there is a monopolized large incumbent and create an offering that's different, more, people just want to try it out because of just, the eccentricity of the offering. And then once you've built equity around your brand, where you are the number two, number three razor company, and people know you design good stuff, then you can use that equity to go into all the other subcategories. That was the overall strategy. We launched with the razor at the very core, and it remains one of our top products and a full shaving kit. We stayed with that for 2-3 years. It was premium, high priced, etc. People got a good experience. But now we quickly, once we realized that we have certain critical mass of equity, we moved and launched like 80, 90 products in the last 18 months across categories where we see men coming and buying a face wash or a charcoal mask because they've seen that we do a good job designing razors. So that was the strategy. I don't know whether it's worked or it will work in the future or not, but that's broadly how we do it.
My next question was about the positioning. So you don't just add more blades; it's beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the positioning is actually in a sweet spot, right? We position ourselves as a premium brand in the sense that our communication is sophisticated, our packaging is high quality. So consumers have this feeling that Bombay Shaving Company is premium as an experience, right? When they come to our salons, for example, they will get a certain amount, certain quality of treatment. But our individual products are very comparatively priced. So when people see that our 80-gram shaving cream is only 80 rupees and not exorbitant, they are pleasantly surprised and they buy it. So our price is comparative, but our positioning is premium, and I think that's a great place to be.
It is, and I like the fact that you talked about 20 years ago, and it resonated with me. I had just to share a personal experience. I had an uncle who was a bodybuilder, weightlifter, champion, and he always hated men discussing these grooming products. Okay, and he's now 60 something. And yesterday, secretly, he was asking my mom, "Do you have a pencil to color my eye? To make it more black?" And I caught him there. I said, "Look at you! Look at how things have changed."
Yeah.
That's what the Bombay Shaving Company is all about, guys. In fact, a lot of people are changing. The men are grooming themselves, talking about it. Don't feel shy. Talk about your grooming needs. It's important. Okay, going back to the positioning a little bit about in the wellness space, acquiring, growing the customer base to
Yeah.
a category where, like you said, two men don't meet each other and say, "Hey, what are you using there?" I always do it. I go ask men, "Hey, what's that beautiful perfume?" Or or what's that deodorant that you're using, right? But some of them really don't want to talk about it. I don't know why. So how difficult was it to acquire and grow your base in the early years?
It continues to remain a challenge. So men are hard to acquire. Word of mouth is hard. Men don't talk about it. More importantly, unlike shoes or motorcycles or clothes, uh, our brand stays confined to the bathroom or to the dressing table. So it's not something that unless I go into someone else's, and bathroom is a very personal space, right? You typically don't go into other people's bathrooms unless it's the guest bathroom at their house.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's very hard for someone to even without verbal cues say this is the razor I use or this is a similar challenge that for example oral care companies face with toothpaste or anything that's in the bathroom. So it still remains a big challenge to be very honest. Like we struggle with getting customers to talk about us. There's always a hesitation. Men are not easy to talk about personal care, but the good part is I think younger men are far more open. The number of lifestyle influencers are increasing. We are finding men looking to the internet, so it's easy to kind of get the internet media to work for us. Also, we realize that I think there's a more recent realization over the last 2 years. We realized that women shape men's personal care habits a lot more than we imagined. Not just from buying the product, but also recommending what to use, what they like, what smell they like, and so on. Right. So we're trying to use women to get to men and gifting is almost 20-25% of our revenues, right? So
yes.
Valentine's Day, which is coming up in the next 10 days, or Rakhi or Father's Day, these events become important for daughters and girlfriends and wives and moms to kind of bring products to the actual end customer for us through a gift. So that's I mean, we try to find ways to get to men.
Okay, that's a good way of thinking. It's a category that's growing, and I'm sure most of you men will appreciate that. Talk about it, go buy the product. Okay, check it out and share your experiences. Right. Moving on to the business side of things. You've raised some capital from big names. I'd like you to mention those names. What was that experience like? And for the last 4 5 years, how have you gone through, raising different stages of capital? And especially in a market that's facing a cash crunch today, do you see it bouncing back? And I know you've just done strategic at this point of time with Reckitt Benckiser, and what are you going to do with this fresh round of funding? So it's like a history of fundraising, learnings, all the way up to Reckitt Benckiser, and how is that going to be used in your products and offerings?
Sure. So our fundraising story is kind of unique. It's not standard, seed round, then Series A by some VC, then Series B by a larger VC, then Series C by a private equity guy, and then so on. Like that's how most consumer companies or most startups in India raise money, and that's
Yeah.
fine. We've kind of so when I left McKinsey, 20 partners from McKinsey who were actually my bosses were kind enough to invest as angel investors, which is one of the most incredible things that
Nice.
I experienced
Nice.
because I felt I was letting them down by leaving. I was at that point becoming a manager and on my way to becoming a useful part of the firm. Till that point, I was kind of just a sunk cost for them. But at that point, I left, and they were very kind to kind of back me. So that was the first round. Then we got one of India's really promising consumer, young but very very sharp consumer funds called Fireside to
Yes.
back us.
Agree.
And then we actually got interest. We started getting interest from strategic investors. So we raised capital from Colgate Palmolive Global. These are the oral care behemoths,
Biggies.
right?
Yes.
200 plus years. And then a year later, they invested again. We got another consumer fund from India, which again does fabulous work, Sixth Sense Ventures. And last couple of weeks back, we raised from another large, equally, probably similar sized as Colgate, but very different categories which they dominate, which is Reckitt Benckiser, right? Which is they own Dettol and Lysol and Durex and some
Yeah.
really cool health and hygiene and nutrition brands. So for us, we actually are one of the few companies that have two global, large strategic investors
Strategics.
on the cap table. It's like, two elephants coming to an ant's birthday party. And it's incredible. For us, I think capital is one of the many things that investors bring to the table. Every investor is unique in their approach. Our McKinsey partners open significant doors and networks, especially
Yes.
the initial days, to manufacturers and to other companies who want to work with us. They add credibility to the cap table. They help get more investors in. Fireside helped us connect to 10 other companies who are building out portfolio. Sixth Sense is very strategic in their push for growth. They ask all the right questions in board meetings. They connect us to their networks. Colgate, our relationship is 2 years old. It's not very old, but we've realized that they're an exceptionally caring and long-term company. There are founders that they invested in the 70s who are still around and talk about Colgate. Think about 19, there's a 50-year
Yes.
investment and Colgate is kind of still a partner. They're very patient with their money. They're very outcome oriented on the business. And that reflects in a lot of small, small things, right? So their head of sales, for example, will spend time with my head of sales, who's far
Wow.
junior, and mentor him on how to build a team and how to build culture, which is in like I can't put a price on these things, right?
Incredible.
They have distribution. Like Colgate is probably the most penetrated brand in India, if not in the top three, right? So we get access to their knowledge. How do we get, and given omni-channel is such an important thing for us, distribution, product development. We have been to their research facilities all over the world. We talk to their teams in Asia, in Hong Kong, in China on how they do e-commerce. So there's so much learning that we get, and hopefully they get from us as well. And that is, I mean, that's far more than just the capital that comes into the company. And we are seeing some very similar intent with Reckitt Benckiser, far more commercial involvement. Colgate is more, learning and soft and long term.
Yes.
It is like, let's do like real projects from the get go. So different approaches, but I genuinely feel getting great
Okay.
investors is a good idea.
Okay. This money is going to be used for new products, diversification. Is that going to enable you to sustain this growth? You've had a massive amount of growth over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So is it going to be led by a product-led growth, or are you going to consolidate the current set of products and obviously do omni-channel at this point in time?
Yeah, so I think investment in marketing, building out the brand, investment in product proliferation, building out if you have an omni-channel approach, every channel wants different kind of products, right? So you need to invest in products. Like salons will want large SKUs, while your retail might want smaller SKUs and so on. So online will want gifts and kits and stuff like that, right? So we'll invest in that, and we are also building out more brands other than just Bombay Shaving Company. So that's an interesting.
So we'll watch out for that space kind of thing. It's yet under wraps. It'll come out soon, guys. Check that out. And it's interesting you use the word salons.
Yeah.
It was a category that was dominated by unknown brands. If you go to a typical salon, or the biggies, the L'Oreals of the world are always there. And I'm glad you use the word salons, because a lot of men, when you go into these ordinary, because I think 95% of India is all these small grooming shops, and they use brands that we don't even understand what they are. Right?
Yeah.
They're red in color, blue in color, but we don't know what brand it is.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting route you're taking. Do you think you want to go through the long tail or focus on some good salons?
I think to start with, we'll start with with slightly the high end salons, not the mom and pop barbershops. To be very honest, I personally get the best experiences in mom and pop barbershops because they treat you like a king.
Yes.
The massage lasts 5 minutes longer and so on. But I think the ability to create a brand shelf, product trials, the quality of influence of a high end stylist is very important. You've seen, you're right. So there are, and brands will create professional ranges, right? And people, like some companies have been so successful. Lotus has been so successful
Yes.
at creating, like, they've had a salon first strategy forever. So we want to do that, but we've seen like even big brands, premium brands, Kerastase, for example, for hair, has done a wonderful job being salon first and getting women to start buying it on their own. So I think that's the idea. Get stylists to recommend, get people to try, sell
Okay.
the products. If they like it, please, at the end of the day, we are still a retail brand.
That's really well said. And I want to talk about the challenges also in this space, right? One is your digital, it does help you scale, but you also have to go have meaningful experiences offline and at home, right? So for me, you're also a foods brand because you're talking about being healthy,
Yeah.
right? You want to talk about that bit also while creating that experience at home and scaling.
Yeah. So a lot of challenges, right? We spoke about word of mouth being super limited,
Yeah,
the brand
yeah,
being the dressing group. You have to position yourself, and men are always in try mode, right? If you look at deodorant, for example, it's a classic category where there are 200 brands, and every other month a guy wants to change. And that's how men are with personal care because they're still in the discovery mode. They're not kind of narrowed
correct.
down on this is my regimen and this is what I like.
Yes,
Most men still are kind of, oh, let me try this, let me try that. So that's a challenge. It's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity because every retail partner gives you the chance. If it's an established category, retail partners will go with the three, four brands that make sense for them and not give space to others. But if it's a category that is allowing men to keep trying and retailers are like, cool, I want to have 15 brands and give my customers choice. And then the challenge for us then becomes how do we position ourselves in a differentiated way? And that's where superfoods come in, right? We have kind of evolved our positioning to a place where we use superfoods in every product that we make, of course, other than razors. But whether it's turmeric or coffee or onion or bringaraj or kadi patta or neem, there's we feel that if you make your product look like it is healthy to eat, people will apply it on their hair or face or skin or wherever they want to do it. So that's if you look at our shaving foam, for example, we've tried to make our shaving foams, shaving foam forever was like white foam in a can forever, right? We've now made them colorful, like yellow, and our coffee is brown, and we have like our apple cider vinegar is a pink foam which smells like apples. So we have the entire marketing is around making these foams look like ice cream. So it's interesting, you some of this.
I like what you say. I mean, that's music to my ears because you were always used to that foamy thing or the white thing that the guy applies in the grooming center, right?
And
You're
also,
right.
it's an opportunity, right? Because if the category is that boring, even small innovations like kind of can make you take big jumps in market share. So that's what we're aiming for.
No, that's fantastic, guys. I hope you're learning from this experience. There's so many meaningful things that he's going after. It's like going after behemoths, target a niche, and go after that very well. That's beautifully said. This what is the new normal for you in business in terms of going forward? A lot of things have changed. I mentioned that grooming is going to be a mainstay here thanks to the pandemic. Men are also going to be more aware of it. What does that mean for you going forward?
Yeah, I think two, three things, right? One is, of course, men's habits will get sharper. They would have figured out what it means to groom better. A lot of men have discovered new products because of online. So we want to continue doing that. Give great products and solutions. Create fantastic content for men to rely on for their grooming needs. Make very clear, recommendations to men for their grooming habits. So that's one important next step because I think the category has taken a step change in terms of its evolution from a consumption standpoint. The second thing for us is that we have to make sure that we are omni-channel. We have realized that as a category we cannot choose our channel. Our
Yes.
customer chooses the channel, and we have to be where the customer is. So we
Yes.
cannot be high and mighty. Many other categories could afford to do those things like say, hey, you have to come to our website to buy, or we're exclusively available only in these stores, but we can't do that. We have to be where the customer is going to buy. And that comes with its own challenges because India is a complex retail environment in terms of just reach. So we have put our best people, we're putting our money behind it. And we want to be, Vishal, we want to be a proper FMCG company. We don't want to be one of these digital upstarts, right? And to be a proper FMCG company, we have to be in stores, and that's the second challenge for us. So the other two things that I hope that the
Well
category
said.
goes with us on this.
Well said. I mean, that also is something of a piece of advice for entrepreneurs who are building brands, guys. It's a journey. The end goal is not just to say high and mighty, saying I'll only sell digital. Yes, you can, but largely India is yet still discovering, like most of us men are discovering. I concede that, and that's really well said, Shantanu. On that note, what is one piece of advice you would give to aspiring entrepreneurs, be it in any space, building a category or a product, right? What should they focus on, and what does failure mean to you? What does it mean to you? What are the learnings? What makes you stand up and say I'm not going to give up?
Yeah. I think the most important thing that entrepreneurs should focus on, and this is a learning I've had later than I would have liked to have had, is don't compromise quality for speed. whoever is pressurizing you, including, and by the way, most people put most pressure on themselves. I think the person pressurizing you is you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I need to get to this milestone in 1 month. Why is my revenue this, etc.? And you end up losing the plot. Find out that one thing that delights your consumers. Like everyone talks about product market fit, no one really knows what it means. It's a magical thing. When your product is liked for its quality, its price, and people talk about it and buy it again, it is magical. So, like, ruthlessly go after it. Even if it is one product, even if it's a small customer base, whatever your target idea is, but just make sure that you go after PMF ruthlessly. Don't compromise, and even if it takes 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, whatever it takes, but don't
Okay.
compromise. So
Okay.
that's
Did you make any mistakes? Did you make any mistakes in that
like
journey?
thousands. Thousands, so many, yeah. Like even when we were discussing before the call started, we are a premium brand, so let's price up.
Oh God.
Who knows us? No one knows us. Customers are not going to pay a premium brand just because our logo looks good. You need to earn the right to charge a premium, and that takes a lot of time. So very small assumptions, which are kind of company first, customer later. Uh, I
Okay.
really,
And where do you get that philosophy from, Shantanu? I mean, do you have mentors, or was it deep-rooted experiences with these mistakes themselves mold you in many ways?
yeah, both, right? So you learn from mistakes. You have to learn from mistakes. Some of our product launches that were complete failures because we either priced wrong, or we got the SKU size wrong, or we got the packaging wrong, whatever, right? Or the product just sucked. And of course, we also have mentors. We are lucky to have so many. We have almost 30 plus people sitting on our cap table. Some of them, most of them are kind of passive. They trust that the team will do well, but many of them are vocal, active. They'll call up and give feedback on the products. They will, give, and many of them are experienced, right? They're seriously experienced folks. So I think it helps you think that. My advice for entrepreneurs is never stop thinking. Like never compromise on thinking just because you're busy or executing a lot. That's a big challenge. So keep having chats, go to consumers a lot, and keep talking to people. My view is you think sharper when you talk a lot more. So
I mean, and in a D2C brand such as yourself, product launches must be like a new movie
yeah.
because the market suddenly decides whether it's working or not in 1 month's time or less than a week, right? It's tough, man.
Yeah, but it's good, right? Think about it, Vishal. Like 10 years back or 15 years back, if Colgate or Reckitt had to launch a product,
Distribution. Oh my, tell me about it. Yeah.
they have to kind of, 6 months of campaign planning, which stores, which pilot market, get Nielsen to do some survey on whether. None of that. Today, you just launch, you listed on a few e-commerce websites, listed on a brand, put some ads on Google, Facebook, talk to your
Yes,
100 customers, your PMF is sorted. Like
absolutely.
it's
So you could fail fast, learn fast.
it's gone from a year to 10 days.
Good to know.
It's gone from 6 crores to 50,000 rupees. It's a much easier thing to do. So that's
That's that's really well said, guys. I hope you listen to. That's the key point in this entire interview. You can fail fast, learn fast, and the costs are down. So being a brand, get your product market fit right. Very important early on. I have a couple of banking questions, Shantanu, before I close. Would you like to take it?
yeah, sure.
Okay, right. Since we are talking about money matters, right? What is your financial ideology that you live by? How do you work towards growing your money personally and from a company point of view?
Yeah. So I think ideology financially for the company is work on high gross margins. We are lucky to be in an industry where gross margins are higher. We of course compromise on profitability because we invest in the marketing and people earlier. But we are not a burn heavy company. We are in fact a very conservatively funded and conservatively run company. So that's my view on business and finance. You have to be financially prudent in
Yeah.
business. You have to manage your treasury well, especially if you're raising good money. You have to make sure you are able to borrow. If you want to borrow, you borrow at the right amount. Understand which source of capital is expensive, whether it's equity, debt, or whatever. And I think founders need to become more financially literate. Despite having an MBA from IIM and all that, I took a lot of time and being a consultant at McKinsey. And I mean, I had all the education and experience to actually know a lot of this before I started, but I didn't. I found it out along the way. So I would genuinely encourage entrepreneurs, especially if they don't come from backgrounds like this, to solicit support and ask questions, even if they risk sounding stupid. An issue with personal finance and company finances, many founders reach a place where they feel embarrassed asking questions because they think
Yeah.
that's basic, but don't do that.
Absolutely.
Ask your CA, ask your banker, ask your investors for advice. On personal finance, Vishal, I think founders, especially in new age founders who give up good jobs,
Yes.
come to a company, start up, take low salaries for a while, they index high on two things: risk and illiquidity, both. So my advice to founders is hedge those risks, right? You can't reduce the risk of your startup other than
Well
time.
said.
But on liquidity, either make sure that you have a discussion with your spouse or your family on alternate sources of income. Like for me, I'm very happy that my wife earns more than enough for the both of us. For the first year or two, it was we were dependent on her income. Also, at different points in time, and this might be a slightly controversial opinion, but I'm going to say it because it's founder first. Find ways to liquidate 3, 4, 5, 6% of your company every time you raise some
Well
money.
said.
If you're raising 100 crore round, put 95 crores in the company. Take 5 crores out for yourself and for senior employees who might have taken
Well
salary
said.
or for early angels and so on, right? It doesn't matter. It's not going to reduce your runway, but it makes you financially secure.
Independent.
And you can then run the company without worrying about it. So Silicon Valley does this all the time. China does this all the time. India has this weird culture of celebrating sacrifice. कि 10 साल उसने he did not take salary and he did not do this and he downgraded his house. Why? Don't do that. You have a higher chance of building a great business if you are financially secure. So make sure you're financially secure. Don't worry about, oh, my friend in the earlier job has got promoted. Oh, my other friend bought a house. Please do those things and then some more. And then when the company does big and well, everyone makes money and you obviously make a killing. But
Shantanu, that is fascinating. I like that prudence that you're bringing in here, saying it is good to celebrate because that takes away your feeling of insecurity, saying, okay, what do I earn? What do I put in? Should I put food on the table to my family? Does my mom and dad or my wife or my children, do they have a buy-in, right? It's an interesting take. And I'm sure, go on.
People don't talk about it because they feel that if they sell their stake in the company, it shows that they don't believe in the company.
Yeah.
Like investors will feel, oh, you want to sell? Oh, why are we? No, hold on. I own 1 lakh shares. I'm talking about selling 3,000 of them.
Yes.
So that doesn't change my skin in the game, but it makes me financially secure. I think investors also need to develop a certain sense of maturity. I'm very lucky to have investors who have actually guided me to do this rather than question me when I wanted to.
Okay, going to the final question, an interesting one. Banks have been very traditional in our country. So, as a founder, what are your expectations from banks?
I think, to be honest, I've actually been very happy with banks in our country. They are they're very customer focused. They're very in person. So every time I've required a banking, we work with multiple banks. The relationship manager will come to the office, will do everything that they can to make things happen. Opening an account or getting some investment advice or getting a OD limit, etc. is fairly easy. I think banking is conservative as it should be. So you won't get off the whack loans and all from banks, and I don't think founders should expect them also. I think one area where I think bankers could do better is just make their products easier to use for online. So, for example, if I go to my current banker's online portal, it takes me 7 clicks to get to putting my password in. So, like making the online product easier, making the online dashboards easier, understanding where my capital is allocated as a company. If you could do that, that's easier. But I think bankers do a fabulous job. I'm very happy that and think about UPI, GST. They're not an easy time. It's gone through a lot of innovation over the last 3-4 years, right? So I think despite that, they've done a very no one in India. Think about it. We are never financially insecure because of our banks. They're as an institution, they're just phenomenal pillars, and we take them for granted. We assume our money is safe. We assume our money is well invested. We assume that we'll get a loan on time. So I think bankers should continue doing that. And HSBC, for example, is a prime example of a global brand that brings its banking services to India. So.
And that's how you build and grow your business, guys. And thanks for being on Money Matters. And this is Shantanu, ladies and gentlemen, the founder and CEO of Bombay Shaving Company. Shantanu, it has been a pleasure. And it's been one of the best interviews I've had in a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vishal. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.